4-2, you have cover for your slicks. I've got guns. Roger, Diligent. We got a set on the slicks. Stand by in case we catch more fire. We need to call you up. Roger, we're orbiting south. All right. And claw 1, claw 3. Just claw 1. Roger, how much ordnance you got? Okay, I got full inboards right now. Okay, well, you want to escort the guys in because we're just about empty. Okay, real fine. And claw 2, what's your position?
MACV-SOG was a Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group. SOG was responsible for all the top secret, covert, deniable operations conducted cross-border outside South Vietnam. Beginning in 1965, that meant recon and hatchet force missions and other special operations along the Ho Chi Minh Trail corridor in Laos. This was the primary route that the North Vietnamese used to supply their troops in the south.
I first met Bob Howard when I was assigned to RT Nevada, which was a recon team. He was a quiet man, but he always wanted to do something. And I remember when there was a dangerous mission to go on, he would want to go on it because he was someone who had lived through it and done it. It was his DNA. This is what he was supposed to do, and that's a sign of a man. That's a sign of a soldier, a true soldier.
In 1967, I had to send 8 recon teams to Kontum, and I got up there, and Robert Howard was a supply sergeant. He went out of his way to help us get ready to run our missions. I go back 2 or 3 days later, see how things are going, and I said, "Where's Howard?" They said, "Well, the last recon team left was short of an American, and he went with it." So come to find out, he'd run as many missions as people on recon, but he was the only man we had in the outfit that really knew supply. So he'd take care of the supply room, get everything ready, and then the next team going to field, he'd get a strap on with him.
Never once did I ever know him to do anything that solely benefited himself. He never tried to promote himself. He never put himself in positions where he'd get admiration. The man was always supportive of the troops and primarily supportive of the mission.
He was a man of action. He didn't like to sit around. When it was time to do something and no one stepped up to the plate, he was going to step up to the plate.
A classic example of one of the things he did. He was wounded in the hospital, so he thought he was doing pretty good, so he goes AWOL in the hospital. He goes down to Pleiku to eat.
There's a motorbike that comes to a halt, and some of our men are standing in line waiting to get into the chow hall. One Vietnamese jumps off the back and throws a grenade. And our guys saw him stop. They jumped for cover, and they were all right. Now, most human beings would go, "Woo, that was close." No. Bob Howard, with no hesitation, takes careful aim, boom! He shoots the Vietnamese on the back. He goes down.
The bike turned over, then he outrun the other one about half a mile down the road and killed him. He come on back, got in the chow line, got his chow, didn't even report it.
Some men hear gunfire, they run from it. Some men, like Bob Howard, hear gunfire, they run to it.
First of all, I was ambushed and I was unconscious. My weapon had just blown all to hell, and then I realized, what in the world did I survive to blow that weapon up like that? And then at that point in time, I could hear the lieutenant screaming, and that's when I had to totally ignore the enemy situation and my wounds. He's quite a ways from me, and I couldn't walk, so I had to crawl over to him. And so as I start dragging him away, we get attacked by an enemy, a frontal attack again, 3 or 4 of the enemy. One of them fired a weapon, and he riddled me across the center of my body, and the ammo pouches blew up with the ammunition and actually picked me up off the ground and blew me away from. Now, this is a split second that I didn't want to go back. But to even hesitate not to go back, it makes you feel so bad. You got to do what's right, and it was right. If I didn't do it, there was nobody else there to do it. Who else is going to do it? You got to make a decision. You know, everybody else was, they were either dead or wounded, or they in a position trying to help me. And I know the condition of a lieutenant, and I know that there's nobody else that's going to be able to get that lieutenant but me, and I didn't want to go back, but I did.
I lived in Temple, Texas at the time, and a limo came and picked us up. It was my first realization as to what my father had been doing, and so I was sort of caught up in the moment of, well, I've always known my daddy was a hero and the best man ever, and now everybody else, you know, knows this. When President Nixon came down, and I looked up at my father's face, and it was just solid as stone, but his eyes, I could just see in his eyes so many thoughts going on through his brain. One thing my father wanted to do was go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I had asked him, what is this, you know, and he explained to me, and I could feel just all the emotion of that these men had families, these men had served their country, these men, and I sort of got the feeling of what it was about. And as we walked off, he turned to me very quickly, he patted my shoulder, and he looked in my eyes, and he said, "You get it." And I said, "I do get it."
Colonel Howard realized that he was dying. He had cancer. He did not have long to live. From his hospital bed in Texas, he took time to work on his uniform to make sure it was just right.
I really couldn't reconcile with his death till this past summer. And when they dedicated at Fort Campbell, you know, a building, the hall, to my father, in meeting the different men and talking with them, it's just like a weight had been lifted off of me. And I felt ready to accept the fact that he was gone and that was his life.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bull Simons Award recipient for 2014, Colonel Robert L. Howard. Accepting the award this evening is his daughter, Mrs. Melissa Howard Gensch.